Threat of competitive rivalry. That threat of competitive rivalry begins when one or more competitors either sees an opportunity to grow and acquire the customers of competitors or feels the need to attract more customers. This force examines how intense the competition currently is in the marketplace, which is determined by the number of existing competitors and what each is capable of doing. Rivalry competition is high when there are just a few businesses equally selling a product or service, when the industry is growing, and when consumers can easily switch to a competitor's offering for little cost. When rivalry competition is high, advertising and price wars can ensue, and that definitely hurts the business's bottom line. So, what are some of the situations that lead to a threat of competitive rivalry? Moving from the growth to the maturity stage of the product life cycle and then into decline can increase rivalry. In the growth stage, firms get used to the businesses growing as more customers come into the market. And, however, new demand eventually reaches a saturation point and replacement demand isn't sufficient to continue to provide growth opportunities. At that point, businesses will look to grow through taking existing customers away from competitors. Currently in Silva, I would say they are still in the growth stage. The potential really outweighs, they're just not at that plateau. So with, the movie coming into town and there being more and more people who are just interested in seeing Silva, with the school continuing to grow, I feel like there's an excess of customers for them to pull from, and they're not really to the point where they have to start taking from each other. Competitive rivalry increases with commodity products and reduces if there's effective differentiation. Customers have an incentive to stay loyal rather than shop around for the lowest price. He spent a lot of time trying to differentiate himself from the other bars in town. The things he offers, they just don't. There's a lot of breweries. There's a couple dive type bars, but his is sort of upscale. It's inviting. As a woman going there, I felt very safe, and it was super clean, and it's just a beautiful little spot. And the drinks even that he provides are different than the ones that other people serve in town. From the beers he's chosen to put on tap to the different specialty drinks that he comes up with. It's really set him apart. And at this point, the rivalry isn't as intense between the other bars because of that. It was kind of smart on his part, and it was strategic. Competitive rivalry is also a function of the competitors in the market. So basically, the more orderly the markets tend to be, where one has established a clear leadership position and the others are tucked in behind, taking advantage of the price umbrella established by the leader. These firms can coexist if they know their place in the market and stick to it. It's a pretty small town, and he had spent a lot of time in the different establishments in town and really took in mind what everyone was charging before he established his own price point. His price point is slightly higher, but he also uses better products, and he knows that the people that he has coming into his bar, it's more people who have established incomes, and if the slightly higher price is worth it to them to pay to be in there. And I'm sure that a lot of the local bars have taken note, especially with his mixed drinks, and they've probably considered their own pricing based on that because, honestly, if someone can establish a high mark for what people are willing to pay, then it's smarter to kind of file in behind price-wise than to start some kind of silly, price war where it's like the race to the bottom. So what's the best strategy to defend against the damage done by competitive rivalry? To me, the best thing he has done is really focusing on his being differentiated. It effectively creates its own private market, and it's a little bit insulated to some extent from what's happening in the wider market. So because his place is smaller, because it's more intimate, because it's a theater, there's a lot of reasons why his place is totally different from anything else in town. So there's like several breweries, and I'm sure more to come, and they're going to have, a lot of competitive rivalry between them. But because he's kind of set apart in what he does, he will hopefully not have as much pressure on him going forward with that. All right, there it is. And here are my citations. And thank you very much.